So, we are meeting two new recurring characters. One we'll see a few more times. One we will see lots of times. We are doing a lot of reading today, a lot of sharing. I love these books. We're doing my comfort books. If I remember, hopefully I remember, I'll put a link in the description to my original video a couple of years ago. As I explained, I did these videos in 2023, but these are my comfort books and I need to read these every year. I like to go through the entire series every year, but I didn't do it for 24 because I had done it in 23. But I decided that I needed to do them again. I needed these books in my life again. So, instead of reviewing them, we're reading them. And welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no demons, none of that fancy stuff going on here. And if you could please hit the like and subscribe, really hit the like, please hit the like, please subscribe. All right, so our first book is book 12 and a half. Interlude in Death. And it's weird because Midnight in Death comes first. Midnight in Death is 7.5. I think it comes after Holiday. But Interlude Death is 12.5. And then we will also follow up with book 13, Seduction in Death. So there's a lot of reading to do. So in 12.5, we gain a new character. She's not going to be seen often, but she'll be seen at least 3 or 4 more times in this series. But that's within the next 60 books. We will see her. She'll come to visit in 20 books or so. The character in here we'll see often. And she's starting a story arc that is going to take a few books. Ooh, I don't know, 15 or 20, but it's going to... I got this hair on my face. I don't know where it is. So, she's going to start a story arc in here. But let's get through... What's going on here? Let's get through Interlude in Death. And apparently there is a law enforcement conference going on, and apparently it's being held on Roarke's Planet Resort. And apparently there is this retiring police officer who may be a tad bit crooked. And while we will deal with really, 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 really horrible crooked cops in the future, especially Peabody will have a harrowing experience in later books. And this is only a short story. It's only about 100 pages. However, this particular gentleman, he also, while he's semi-crooked, he also brings up stuff, and it's been brought up before, but now we're learning a little more tidbit. This little bit of information that we're gathering every single book, or every so many books, it's brought up every so many books, accumulates way down the road. It will accumulate, and it will come to a crescendo. A lot of it will come before New York. I think a lot of it comes ahead before New York and Dallas. But there is quite a few books where this stuff is rehashed again and brought up. So this gentleman cop, who's slightly crooked enough that he kills people, has this vendetta against Roarke. But it's not technically against Roarke. It's against Rourke's father. And since Rourke's father is now deceased and has been for a while, he's taking his anger out on the son. But in the meantime, Eve is at this conference. And I'm not going to do too much plotline here. I'll leave you to read the book. But I am going to share. Now, you have to remember that Eve is a lieutenant in the New York City Police and Security Department. And Roarke is her husband. Peabody is her aide now. In the future, will become partner. Whitney, her boss, is here. Mira, the department shrink, is here. Feeney, her former mentor, is here. He's also captain of EDD. I don't know if Mcnabb's here or not. We'll double check as we go through the books. Morris, I think Morris is here. Dr. Morris, he's the coroner. And we are gradually seeing more and more and more of Morris as time goes on. And his story will crescendo in Promises and Death, along with Louise and Charles' story will also crescendo in Promises and Death. But we got a whole bunch of books to go yet. So, like we said, that Eve grew up in the foster system, and she's just not used to social situations. She'd rather be facing an alley full of chemiheads than association, because while her father treated her so horribly, then the foster families after that also treated her physically and mentally cruelty to her. So, she hasn't had a very pleasant, and she's learning from Peabody and Nadine and Mavis, Trina a little bit, Dr. Mira some. She's slowly gaining a circle of friends. And we're gaining another friend in Seduction. We will get to that in a minute. But let's get through this. So, Eve hates to space travel. She hates to fly, period. The author also hates, a lot of authors I've known have said they hate to fly, and they translate that to their characters. She hated space travel. Wait, let me back up here again. Couldn't hold the sucker in New York, Eve thought as she lay face down on the hotel bed. Just couldn't find one spot on the whole F planet that could suit up. No, just had to send a bunch of cops and techs out into space. She hated space travel. And of all the places in the known universe, the site selection committee had to dump them on Olympus Resort. Not only was she a cop out of her element, but she was a cop out of her element giving a seminar in one of the conference rooms in one of the ridiculously plush hotels owned by her husband. How mortifying. Sneaky son of a bee, she thought, and wondered if any of the muscles and bones in her body had dissolved during landing on Olympus and had regenerated. He planned it, he worked it, and now she was paying for it. She had to socialize. Oh, good God. Have to socialize. Attend meetings. She had to, dear Christ, give a speech. And in less than a week, she would have to get back on that fancy flying death trap of Rourke's and face the journey home. Since the idea of that made her stomach turn over, she considered the benefits of living out the rest of her life on Olympus. How bad could it be? The place had hotels, casinos, homes, bars, shops, which meant it had people. And when you had people, bless their mercenary hearts, you had crime. You had crime, you needed cops. She could trade in her New York police and security badge for an interplanetary law enforcement shield. I could work for the ILE, she muttered. Certainly, Roarke said. After a while, you wouldn't think twice about zipping from planet to station to satellite, and you'd look charming in one of those blue and white uniforms and knee-high boots. Roarke just likes to tease her. And then, of course, Peabody is here. The ballroom was huge and packed. They'd come from all over the planet and its satellites, police officials, technicians, expert consultants, the brains and the bronze of the law enforcement. Doesn't it make you nervous to be in the same room with what, 4,000 cops? She asked him. On the contrary, Lieutenant, I feel very safe. Some of these guys probably tried to put you away once upon a time. So did you. Now he took her hand before she could stop him and kissed it. Look where it got you. Dallas, Officer Peabody, Delilah Peabody, decked out in a short red dress, instead of her standard starch uniform, rushed up. Her dark bowl of hair had fluffed and curled, and Eve noted the tall glass in her hand was already half empty. Peabody, it looks like you got here. Transport was on time and no problem. Roarke, this place is seriously iced. I can't believe I'm here. I really appreciate you getting me in, Dallas. She hadn't arranged it as a favor exactly. If she was going to suffer through a seminar, Eve had figured her aide should suffer too. But from the looks of things, Peabody seemed to be bearing up. Because Peabody likes to be sociable. Eve doesn't like to be sociable. I came in with Feeney and his wife, Peabody went on, and Dr. Mira and her husband, Morris and Dickhead and Silas Security, Leeward, and Anti-Crime. They're all around here somewhere. Some of the other guys from Central and the precinct's NYPSD is really well representative. Great. She could expect to be ragged on about her speech for weeks. We're going to have a little reunion later in the Moonscape Lounge. Reunion? We just saw each other yesterday. On planet. Peabody's lips, slick, deep red, threatened to pout. This is different. You're telling me, Eve said. Why don't I get you ladies a drink? Wine, Eve, Peabody? I'm having an awesome orgasm. The drink, I mean. Not you, you know, personally. Amused, Roarke brushed a hand over her shoulder. I'll take care of it. Boy, could he ever, Peabody murmured. Button it. Eve scanned the room, separating cops from spouses, from techs from consultants. She focused on a large group gathered in the southeast corner of the ballroom. What's the deal there? That's the big wheel, former Commander Douglas R. Skinner. Peabody gestured with her glass, then took a long drink. Did you ever meet him? No, heard about him, though. He's a legend. I haven't gotten a look yet because there's been about 100 people around him since I got here. I read most of his books. The way he came through the urban wars, kept his own turf secure. He was wounded during the Atlanta siege, but held the line. He's a real hero. Cops aren't heroes, Peabody. We just do the job. So then Eve wasn't interested in legends or heroes or retired cops who raked in enormous fees, playing the lecture circuit, or consulting. She was interested in finishing her one drink, putting an appearance at the reception, and only because her own commander had ordered her to do so, then making herself scarce. Tomorrow, she thought, was soon enough to get down to work. From the noise level of the crowd, everyone else thought so too. But it appeared the legend was interested in her. So the guy sends one of his guys over to talk to Eve because Skinner wants to see Eve. Well, Eve doesn't want to see Skinner. Lieutenant Dallas, a thin man with dark hair cut so short it looked like sandpaper glued to his scalp, nodded at her. Bryson Hayes, Commander Skinner, personally adjunct. The commander would very much like to meet you if you'd come with me. The commander looks pretty occupied at the moment. I'll be around all week. And the commander would like to see you now. And Eve's like, well, I don't want to go now. And Peabody's like, go on, go, Dallas. We'd be delighted to meet with Commander Skinner. Roarke solved the mystery problem by putting his own drink aside and then taking both Eve and Peabody's arms. It earned him an adoring puppy look from Peabody and a scowl from his wife. And they get into it. It is not a very pleasant conversation. So you'll have to read that. But it turns out Skinner, like I said previously, has got a thing for Roarke because of Roarke's father, what happened with Roarke's father. So then we're at the party, and As a rule, being crowd ass to ass at a table in a high club where the entertainment included music that threatened eardrums wasn't Eve's idea of a good time, but when she was working off a good mad, it paid to have friends around. The table was jammed with New York's finest. Her butt was squeezed between Rourke and Feeney's, the electronic detective division captain. Feeney's usually hangdog face was slack with amazement as he stared up at the stage. On the other side of Rourke, Dr. Mira, elegant despite the surroundings, sipped a brandy Alexander and watched the entertainment. A three-piece combo whose costumes were red, white, and blue, body painting doing wild trash rock riffs on American folk songs. Rounding out the table were Morris, the medical examiner, and Peabody. Wife should have gone to bed. Feeney took his head. You have to see it to believe it. Hell of a show, Morris agreed. For a dead doctor, Eve thought he was a very snappy dresser. But Dallas here, Morris winked at her, was quite some warm-up act. Har, har. Morris smiled serenely. Hotshot Lieutenant Dex, legend of police law's bodyguards at law enforcement conference on luxury off-planet. You've got to play that all the way out. Nice left jab, Feeney said. Good follow-through on the kicks. And they continue to discuss the altercation. Like I said, you'll have to read the book to find out the particulars about the altercation. But then we have a deceased body. So just gonna skip that. I just wanted to. I specifically wrote down. Oh, her. What does she say? Maybe it was on. Let me just double check 25. No, there's still a cock. So, where's her official rank? It's Darcia. She is. Oh, wait a second. Alright, our new recurring character that'll show up every 10 or 15 books is Darcia Angelo, Chief of Olympus Police. So that's who we meet in this book. Excuse me a second. My allergies are bad. So then we have the case, and so the cop doesn't like her, she doesn't like the cop. One of Skinner's people are killed. Eve helps investigate. I'm trying to see, I didn't specifically. This is one of the big things that comes up often when we're dealing with this particular situation. Skinner, Captain Douglas, case filed, C, whatever. To Roarke Patrick, a.k.a. O'Hara, Sean, a.k.a. McNeil. Thomas, dated, stamped March 12, 2036. Subject Roarke, suspect in illegal weapons running, illegal entry into U.S., grand theft auto, and conspiracy to murder of police officers. Subject believed to have fled Atlanta and subsequently the country. Last known residence, Dublin, Ireland. Case file complete. Investigative data available. And Eve sat down slowly as the computer hummed. 2036, she thought. 23 years ago, Roarke would have been about 12. It wasn't Roarke who was the root of Skinner's obsession. It was Rourke's father. And Atlanta will come up again in several points of the timeline in the books later on. It'll come up again and again. I'm not sure if this is the first time, but it's going to come up again in further things. Roarke has a talk with Skinner. Let me just see if there's anything here that's, oh yeah, Eve asks Roarke what he pays his security people, and he pays them twice what New York City pays their people. So that was just interesting. and they get into an apartment, and Eve can't get in with her cops thing, but Roarke can get in because he owns the place, so that was cute. Yeah, so there's the rest of this is case related. Let me just check one more thing. And then they talk about Eve being the keynote speaker. Okay. So there's that interlude in death. Now, let me just do this one more time. So now we have seduction and death. I'm trying to decide if I should do this a separate video. All right, let's just do this. All right. Years ago, the books only came out in paperback, and if you wanted a hardcover, you had to get the large print. But the large print is missing paragraphs. If you get a large print book and an audio book, you will discover that there are paragraphs missing. Later on, she updated a little bit and expanded, or when it was edited, so the paperback is the full version. So, in this book, we meet Louise D'Amato. Seduction in death. These two guys are seducing women and poisoning them with illegal drugs, and the women die during personal relations. But we also have a very, very important Mcnabb and Peabody work through. We also meet Louise D'Amato. And Charles's new love interest is Louise D'Amato. She is a doctor. And Louise has no problem with Charles sleeping with everybody in town because he is a licensed companion, a very high-level licensed companion. And she's fine with it. And it's weird. And everybody keeps asking Louise, "You're really fine with it?" And Louise is like, "Yeah, I'm really fine with it." So we start the book off. Eve lets Peabody handle the crime scene, and it'll happen a few more times. It'll show up. Get her prints and run them. She glanced down at her aide as Peabody squatted, opened a field cut. Peabody's uniform sat squarely on her ruler-straight dark hair. She had steady hands, Eve thought, and a good eye. "Why don't you do time of death?" "Me?" Peabody asked in surprise. "Give me an ID, establish time of death, log in the description of the scene and the body." Now, despite the grisly circumstances, it was excitement that moved over Peabody's face. "Sir, yes, sir. Officer on scene has a potential witness. A witness from up there or down here?" "Down here." So Peabody's handling the crime scene, and Eve sees a familiar face. "D'Amato, Lieutenant Dallas." Louise D'Amato angled her head, and the ruby clusters at her ears beamed like glassy blood. "Do you come in or do I come out?" "Come on out." They met the previous winter at the Canal Street Clinic, where Louise fought against the tide to heal homeless and hopeless. She came for money, and her bloodline was blue. But Eve had good reason to know Louise didn't quibble about getting her hands dirty. She nearly died helping Eve fight an ugly war during that bitter winter. So then they talk about the case. And then we talk with Peabody. You going to call Feeney? You need EDD to walk through her computer and find the email she and the suspect exchanged trace account? That's right. Eve rose, and though she knew it was a mistake, ordered one more cup of coffee from her auto chef. Put the personal garbage in the recycler and do the job. I'd appreciate it if you'd give Mcnabb that same order, sir. He hassling you? Yes, not exactly. No. Which is it? He makes sure I know about all the hot women he's sleeping with and how he's practically doing handsprings since I cut him loose. And he doesn't even have the decency to do it to my face. He makes sure I hear about it. It sounds like he's moved on. You did cut him loose, Peabody, and you're hanging with Charles. But it's not like that with Charles, Peabody insisted. I told you. But you didn't tell Mcnabb your business, Eve said quickly when Peabody started to speak, and I don't want any part of it. Mcnabb wants to screw every female in the 5 boroughs, and it doesn't interfere with the job. It's none of my business and none of yours. Leave the priority request for the morgue and the lab, then go home. Report in 800 hours. So then Eve does some work. Um. Oh, so this is just a cute little scene. Eve is investigating some of the fragrances used at the scene, and she goes into a department store. Um, a female droid with a starburst of magenta hair slithered across the floor to block Eve's forward progress. Good afternoon, and welcome to Saks today. Today our premier fragrances. One drop goes on me, just one, and I'll ram that spritzer down your throat, she warned as the droid moved in for the kill. Indeed, madam, it only takes a drop of orgasma to entice the lover of your dreams. Eve flipped her jacket aside, tapped her fingers on her weapon. It only takes one blast of this to put you in the recycle bin. Now back off. So the droid starts to call for security, and Eve is like, NYPSD. She's too much. Then we meet up with Morris in the uh morgue. Then we have a visit. Okay, she jammed her way into traffic like a battering ram. I need to make a stop down at the Canal Street Clinic. Let's see if the boys at EDD have made any progress. She used the in-dash link to contact Feeney's office and felt Peabody stiffen when Mcnabb's pretty face appeared on screen. Hey, Lieutenant! Eve watched his full gaze shift over, saw his lips stretch into a smile, every bit as stiff as Peabody's shoulders. Peabody, I need your captain. He just stepped out. Tell him to tag me as soon as he comes back. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Don't eject till you hear the tune. The captain put me on your electronic account search. Pretty basic e-work for a hotshot, isn't it? Yeah, well, it got bumped up to hotshot level when the text ran into some snags. Your cyber Casanova put in some blocks and walls. I scaled them being a hotshot and came up with an address. So they start the case. Then they go to Louise's place. And this will happen often. It becomes a little piece of enjoyment in the future books. She did it a book or so ago. We went through it. She'll do it again in almost every book until later on, after Promises. But she parks her car on the street and she turns on the alarms, but they're not going to really do much of anything. And she says, I'm Lieutenant Dallas. She didn't shout it, but raised her voice enough to cause faces to shift in her direction. This piece of S is my official city vehicle. If every piece of S is not in the exact spot, in this exact condition when I come back, I'll bring a squad of door bangers down here to roust every living soul in a 5-block radius, along with illegal sniffer dogs who will find and confiscate all the goodies you've got stashed. and someone calls her a BC. And Officer Peabody, will you verify that opinion? Yes, sir. The A is correct. You are the supreme BC. So then they go into Louise's the Canal Street, and apparently Eve crossed over to reception window, though through it she could see updated equipment and the same sense of order efficiency that had permeated the waiting rooms. There was a young man at the station with a face as cheerful and harmless as a daisy. He couldn't have been more than 20, Eve thought as he beamed up at her today. Good afternoon. How can we help you today? I need to see Dr. D'Amato. Yes, ma'am. I'm afraid Dr. D'Amato is fully booked for the rest of the afternoon. Is this a medical emergency? It's police business. She puts her badge up in the guy's face. Oh, Lieutenant Dallas, Dr. D'Amato said you might come by. She's with a patient, but if you don't mind waiting for a few minutes, you can wait in her office. So they go into her office. You guys expanded. Yes, Dr. D'Amato was able to purchase the building that adjoined the original clinic. Still beaming smiles led them across the pass-through into another hallway. She expanded and updated the clinic and its services and added pediatrics. We have 6 doctors now, 2 full-time and 4 on rotation, and a fully equipped lab. Dr. D'Amato is the angel of Canal Street. Please help yourself to the auto chef. She'll be with you soon. So they talk about the office. And Eve had donated, she had bribed Louise in Holiday in Death, I'm pretty sure it was Holiday in Death, $500,000 to do stuff for her that almost got her killed. But unknowns to Eve, they have a talk, they talk about the case, and then she says, okay, ask around. If anything strikes you, get in touch. You can bank on it. You did a nice job around here, Eve said. We like to think so. Louise finished off a coffee, pointed the cup in the recycle bin. Your $3 million went a long way. 3? I was ready to dive into the $500,000 we agreed, but didn't expect the bonus. When did I give you the bonus? Now, why do I think you don't have a clue? Refresh me, Louise. When did I give you $3 million? Never, but your rep did late February. And my rep would be some slick suit named Treacle of Montblanc, Seisler, and Treacle, issued in 2 installments. The $500,000 as agreed, and another 2.5 if I contracted to donate my services to dochas, a newly established abuse center for women and children on the Lower East Side. Dochas, she said, still smiling, is, I'm told, Gaelic for hope. Is that so? Well, and it will come up often, and it will be talked about in future books. But Roarke is building a shelter after experiencing his wife's, or learning about his wife's childhood and all the stuff that she had to go through. He's building a shelter, a Roarke style shelter, for abused women. They can come in, no questions asked, and get treated, get fed, all that kind of stuff. And later on, he's going to build a school, but we didn't get that far yet. You gave her the money for all that? Peabody demanded as she hustled after Eve. No, I didn't give her the money because it's not my money, is it? It's Roarke's money. I'm a cop, goddammit. A cop doesn't have space stations full of money to make grand gestures with. Yeah, but still, does it piss you off? I don't know if it pisses me off, but she kicked the base of a street lamp just in case. He could tell me about this stuff, couldn't he? He could keep me in the loop so I wouldn't go into this sort of situation and come out feeling like an idiot. I think it was a beautiful gesture, Peabody says. Don't contradict me, Peabody. Don't you forget I'm the supreme bitch cop? No, sir, and your vehicle is in the same spot and in the same condition as you left it. The neighborhood didn't forget that either. Too bad. I would have enjoyed busting some. Um, so then they go back to Central, and Mcnabb has got a whole bunch of information for her, but he feels that he needs a bigger space to be able to explain it, and he books a conference room using her name, and he never even asked, and he never even got her approval for it, and Eve rips him a new one. So then we deal with let's see, what are we up to? Oh, then we go see Berensky, dickhead in the lab, um, and that's about the case. And then we go home, and we have our daily repartee, whatever you want to call it, with Somerset. She climbed the old stone steps, pulled open the grand front door, and stepped out of the dusk into the glamorous light of the entrance foyer. And Somerset, a skinny crow in his habitual black, stood waiting. His stony face matched his stony voice. "Lieutenant, you left the premises in the middle of the night and failed to inform me of your schedule or your expected return. Gee, Dad, am I grounded?" Because it would irritate him, and irritating Rourke's major domo was one of life's guaranteed pleasures, she dripped off her jacket and tossed it on the polished newel post of the staircase. "Informing me of your comings and goings is a basic courtesy, which naturally you're incapable of understanding. Ice, we understand each other. Anyways, I was out partying all night, while the cat's away." She wanted to ask and couldn't bring herself to ask if he knew when Rourke was expected back. He'd know, she thought, as she started upstairs. He'd know everything. She could call Rourke herself, but that would make her feel nearly as stupid. Hadn't she talked to him 24 hours ago? Hadn't he said he'd hoped to wrap things up and be home in another couple days? And she gets home, gets up to the room, and Rourke's home. And so she's home, and she says, "You failed to inform me of your schedule," she said in a reasonably accurate mimic of Somerset. "Now I guess I'll have to cancel the hot date I lined up with the lap dancing twins. Ah, Lars and Sven. I've heard they're very inventive." Okay. Then we gotta have the talk. "So, Rourke, darling husband, um, uh, and the regular, which brings me to a little sidebar here. Louise D'Amato lives in the same apartment building, does she? And she was standing on the sidewalk when Bankhead hit the pavement. I'm sorry to hear that. I swung by the clinic today to bring her up to date. Lots of changes there." "Yeah, why didn't you tell me you'd given the clinic $3 million? I make quite a number of charitable donations I don't tell you about," he offered, smile. "Would you like to be copied on the data in the future? Don't get smart with me. I'd like to know why you went around me and gave her 5 times the amount agreed on. I'd like to know why you didn't tell me about the shelter you asked her to give time to. I liked the work she was doing." "Rock! You started this shelter for me. Did you think I'd be upset or pissed off or what if you told me about it? I implemented plans for the shelter several months ago for you. For myself. We had nowhere to go, did we, Eve? And if I had, I wouldn't have gone. Too tough, too angry, even bleeding from the ears from the last beating, I wouldn't have gone, but others will. Still, I'm next to certain I would have thought to do this thing if it hadn't been for you. But you didn't tell me. The shelter's not altogether finished. It's open and we've taken in what they call guests. But there are still details to complete it, some programs that are yet to be fully implemented. It should be No, I didn't tell you. I don't know whether I intended to or not because I couldn't be sure if you would be pleased or distressed. The name pleases me. Good. And what distresses me, though, that's a wimpy word. If you didn't tell me about something you're doing that makes me really proud of you, I wouldn't have gone to one of those places either. Because he made me so scared of them, because he made them sound like big dark pits, and I was afraid of the dark. I was afraid of him. So I wouldn't have gone, but others will. So they talk. That's Duchas, is the shelter that he's building. So, then the next morning, Peabody shows up. And Eve and Roarke were kind of getting a little on the busy side. Peabody's early. Let's pretend we didn't hear it. Roarke nibbled at her mouth. Then we can't see her. Traced it with his tongue. Then we don't even know her name. That's a good plan, except when he put sincere effort into the kiss, she was pretty sure she could feel her heart melting. Down, boys, she murmured, just as Peabody strode into the room. Ahem. Roarke turned, picked up Galahad to scratch his ears. Hello, Peabody. Hi, welcome home. Maybe I'll just go in the kitchen there and get some coffee and stuff. You look tired. I guess I didn't sleep very well. Need that coffee. And then she hurried away. Eve. Don't. She held up a finger at Rourke's quiet tone. I don't want to talk about that now. I don't ever want to talk about it, and I especially don't want to talk about it now. And if anybody had listened to me when I said she and Mcnabb get tangled was going to screw up things, we wouldn't have to talk about it, would we? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're talking about it. Oh, shut up. All I know is she's going to suck it and do the job, and so is he. Then we have our moment, our big moment. Um, uh, Eve wants Peabody to take a Tylenol. They call it a blocker here. And Eve will be dying before she takes drugs. When they were in the car, Eve took a long breath. If you're having trouble sleeping, take a pill. That's some advice coming from you. Then consider it in order. Yes, sir. This is really pissing me off. Eve punched it, roared up the drive. Peabody's chin jutted so far out, Eve was surprised it didn't spear through the windshield. I apologize if my personal difficulties are an annoyance to you, Lieutenant. If you can't do better sarcasm than that, give it up. Do you want time off? No, sir. Don't sir me, Peabody, in that tone, or I'll kick your ass right here and now. I don't know what's wrong with me. Her voice went watery. I don't even like Mcnabb. He's annoying and he's a jerk and he's stupid. So what if the sex was great and maybe we had some laughs? Big deal. It's not like we were serious or anything. It's not like it gives him the right to give me ultimatums or make insulting comments and draw conclusions. Have you slept with Charles yet? What? No. Maybe you should. Maybe I can't believe I'm having this conversation. Maybe if you relieve some stress in that area, you could get your settled head right or something. Charles and I are friends. Yeah, you're friends with a very high-priced sexual professional. Seems to me he'd be willing to help you out. I'm not the same as loaning me 20 till payday. Then she sighed. Maybe I should think about it. Think fast. We're going to see him. What? Now? What? So they talk to him about the case. And then why did I Oh, Charles asked Peabody to dinner to cheer her up, but they never actually get to that dinner. Oh, and then Peabody talks to her commander about Nadine. So Nadine is our reporter on Channel 75, and then eventually she will get her own show, and then she will write her book, and then she will get a movie, and then she will make like Eve's life hell because everybody will know who Eve and Peabody are. Peabody just loves it and Eve just hates it. But that's way, 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 way down the line. Um, so then we're at Roarke's place. Oh, one of the establishments that the computer cafe, they call them, where people go and can just use the computers online. Um, is this your club? It is, yes. But that's neither here nor there. Unless you consider that, you'll have no bitching and moaning from the owners about tonight's little adventure, or the impounding of this unit as evidence. He glanced up once, just to sweep of her face with those amused blue eyes. Less paperwork for you. So Peabody and Mcnabb have a little bit of a chat. Let's see. So he pulled his hands out of his pockets to adjust the fit of the tiny round sunshades with aqua blue lenses. Dallas called for the home office deal. I got the update. Sounds like she got some action last night, he continued, struggling to keep it all mild and easy. Too bad that creep didn't drop into Cyberperk the other night when we were there. We'd have made him. Unlikely. Try a little optimism, she-buddy. Try a little reality, jerk face. Wake up on the wrong side of the slick boy's bed? She heard her own teeth grind. There's no wrong side of Charles's bed, she said sweetly. It's a big, soft, round playpen. Oh, yeah? Half the circuits in his brain fried at the image of Peabody romping naked in some plush, sexy bed with someone else. That's just the sort of quick repartee I've come to expect from you. You must be sharpening your wits on all those bimbos you've been bouncing. The last bimbo had a doctorate from MIT, the body of a goddess and the angel of a face of an angel. But so they continue their repertoire about Charles. And Mcnabb really hasn't been dating these women. He's tried, and it just hasn't worked out for him because he realizes that he is in love with Peabody. So then where is it now? Mcnabb is at Eve's home office, which will be expanded later on. And Peabody is there with him. That conversation took on a walk from the subway from the subway to the house. And Louise D'Amato stops by. And Charles stops by. And they meet. Let's see, she's having coffee. Charles arrives. Roarke Mcnabb, with the second greeting Charles practiced with smile dimmed slightly. Then it polished right up again when he aimed it at Louise. I don't believe we've met. Louise D'Amato, she offered a hand. Don't tell me you're a cop. Doctor, you? He heard Mcnabb's muttered opinion. Charles ignored it. Professional companion. How interesting. Can we save the social hour for later? We'll have a damn party. Everybody's invited, Eve snapped. I'll get to you, she said to Charles. Finish it out, Louise. So they finished their conversation about the case. And then Charles and Louise share a car ride home. And they make plans to schedule a date. Just one second. So, after Louise and Charles leave, Peabody and Mcnabb talked. And now Eve and Peabody are in the car going to a new destination, new thing. He wants to have pizza tonight. What? Roarke wants pizza? No, Mcnabb. Mcnabb wants to have pizza with me tonight. He says he wants to talk and stuff, but this morning we broke a couple of public moral codes outside your gates. Eve curses. There it goes again. Why do you tell me this stuff? It makes me spasm. If we have pizza, we're going to have sex. What does that mean? It means more than a spasm. I think it's an embolism, one of those brain bombs, and you have your finger twitching on the button. I don't want to get messed up again, but I feel messed up anyway. Eve sighed. What do I know about this kind of stuff, Peabody? It's taken me more than a year to find my rhythm with Roarke, and I still screw it up half the time. Cops are bad bets. So then, they break up a fight, and Eve enjoys the whole event. And Eve gets cut slightly in the breaking up of the fight on the street. Um, so then Eve, they're talking about. So, are you having pizza or what? I don't know. Peabody's shoulders rose and fell. I think probably not. It'll just get all weird and screwed up again. He's really an A. But she said it wistfully. He really got hyped and loony about Charles. Eve shifted in her seat, wishing she could stem the thin trickle of sympathy for Mcnabb. I guess it would be rough on a guy to figure he was competing with someone with Charles. We never said we were exclusive, and he didn't go around trying to direct my life. He can't just start telling me who I can see, who I can be friends with. Heating up, Peabody turned the glare on Eve. And if I hadn't been having sex with Charles, which I wasn't, it wouldn't be any of his damn business. Whoops. Forget your job for one little minute and take a blast right in the forehead. Right, absolutely right. So screw him. Peabody huffed out of breath and felt righteous. He didn't even bother to tag me during the day to see if I was up for it anyway. So screw him. Sideways we'll interview the last names on the list tomorrow. What? So while she's talking with Eve, Mcnabb is talking with Roarke. I think the pizza's a good approach, Mcnabb said. She's got a weakness for it, and it keeps it casual, like friendly. I'll pick up a bottle of red, nothing fancy. That's good. McNabb's face brightened. But no flowers or anything. Not this time. If you want to put things back as they were, you need to take her off guard, keep her guessing. Yeah, Roarke, in McNabb's estimation, was the guru of romance. Anybody who could make Dallas soft was a veritable genius in affairs of the heart. But this deal with Charles, he began. Forget it. But set it aside, Ian, at least for now. She's fond of him, and whatever the relationship might be, it's important to her. Every time you take a jab at him, you push her away. So then Mcnabb goes over to Peabody's, and they have their night. And while they are having their night, Louise and Charles are in a restaurant having their night. And they also see the one of the murder suspects, and that becomes more part of the case. Roarke tries to give Eve a pill for her injuries, and she calls him a pill pusher. It's cute. All right. So then, they go to see Charles and Louise about the situation in the restaurant, and Charles says that they were there. So that's that part. So what do they want with this one? Oh, Charles asks Peabody if he can cancel their dinner because he's gonna have dinner with Louise, and she's okay with that. And then Peabody has some words with Mcnabb. Let me see. Okay, so Peabody has this is a big thing. Peabody doesn't know that Mcnabb knows about Louise and Charles. And she doesn't know that that's what he's talking about. She thinks he's talking about her and him. So Eve sends Peabody out to the vending machine because her vending machine privileges have been revoked again. Since their session the night before, she expected him to go for a little pinch or grab, but he dipped his hands into 2 of the 12 pockets in his butter yellow trousers and just stood there. You doing okay? Yeah, just ordering up a few booze, figuring Dallas could have them both in the field for hours. She went for energy and sweetener. I'm sure you're bent about what happened. You shouldn't be. Stuff like that doesn't mean anything. Thinking of pizza and the frantic bout of sex on her living room floor, the second more thorough session in her bed, she felt her stomach tighten. Right, who said it meant anything? I'm just saying you shouldn't be embarrassed or upset. She turned to him, kept her face absolutely stone still. Do I look embarrassed? No, you don't want to talk about it, fine. Personal sense of outrage leaped up, staggered by the throat. Charles had all but rubbed his new lady in the Peabody's face, and she still couldn't see him for what he was. Everybody knows it was never going to go anywhere. If you thought otherwise, then you deserve what you get. Thanks for the bulletin. And like I said, he's thinking of Louise and Charles, and she's thinking about the night before. Total misunderstanding. And it happens a few times in their relationship. So then Peabody has to vent to Eve, and it's cute, sir. It's cute. Then Mcnabb gets a little on the drunk side and slugs Charles. Goes to his place, finds Charles with Louise. And we spend quite a bit of time with Louise saying she doesn't have a problem with Charles's occupation. She's totally fine with it. And Detective Mcnabb calmly, Louise stepped between them. You're obvious upset. Maybe you should sit down. Dr. D'Amato, flustered, Mcnabb lowered his fist. I didn't see you over there. Charles, why don't you sit down and make some coffee? Ian isn't. Let's sit down. Beg your pardon. I don't want any goddamn coffee, and I don't want to sit down. I want to kick his ass. He jabbed a finger at Charles over her shoulder. I'm sorry you're in the middle. You're a nice woman, but I got business with this SOB. I'm assuming this has to do with Delia. As Charles stepped away from Louise, Mcnabb rounded on him. Damn right. You think because you take her to the F opera and F restaurants, you've got a right to toss her over when something more interesting comes along? No, I don't. Delilah means a great deal with me. Literally seeing red, Mcnabb swung out. He punched, found its target. But Charles had snapping back. He followed it through with a short jab to the belly before Charles recovered to fight back. While they were circling each other, ramming fists, spilling blood, Louise fled the room. They were rolling on the floor in a sweaty, grunting heap when she came back and threw a full bucket of ice water over them. That's just enough. She slammed the bucket down, slapped her hands on her hips as both of them gasped. You should be ashamed, both of you, fighting over a woman like she's a juicy piece of meat. If either of you think Peabody would appreciate this, you're very much mistaken. They're on your feet. He's got no right to hurt her, Mcnabb said. I wouldn't hurt Delia for anything in this world. And if I have, I do everything I can to make it up to her. Charles scooped back his dripping hair. He was getting the picture now. For Christ's sakes, moron, have you told her you're in love with her? Who said I was? His bruised face went sheet white. I was just looking out for. Shut up. She wants to row with you when you're working other skirts. That's her business, but that's not her job. He pointed to Louise. That's right, she's not. And nobody juggles Peabody that way. Look, obviously you're under the impression that Delilah and I. It just happened, Ian. Louise interrupted quickly, shot Charles a warning look. It wasn't planned. I'm sorry if I'm responsible for this. I'm not blaming you. I'm as much to blame. Charles and I, we want a chance to make something together. Can you understand? So Peabody's just out of the picture. I'm sorry. As the light dawned, Charles got to his feet. I hope she'll understand. I hope we can still be friends. She's a wonderful woman, more than I deserve. You got that right, pal. Drenched, aching, and more than a little sick, Mcnabb managed to get up. You better find a way to make it right with her. I will. You have my word. Let me get you a towel. I don't need a towel. Then try a piece of advice instead. You've got a clear path. Try not to stumble off of it. Yeah, right. He strode out, his exit hampered by squeaking air boots. Well, Charles blew out of breath. That was entertaining. Hold still, your lips bleeding. As she dabbed with a napkin. Charles angled his head. I'm soaking wet too. Yes, you are. I think he bruised my lips. I'll take a look. Come on, let's get you out of those wet clothes and patch you up. I love playing doctor. Delia and I, she's really special to me, but we were never lovers. I figured that out. I can't believe you were about to tell Ian. Could be my brain was still rattled from having his bare-knuckled fist slammed in my face. We're friends. Delia's the best friend I've ever had. And you've just done her a lovely favor. Come on now, come with me. And Charles and Louise, it takes a couple days before they actually get together. But, so, Peabody and Eve had a late night, and they were out, and so she didn't get home till, Mavis and Trina are coming over to set up for the op. And Eve is absolutely petrified of Trina. Trina is the hair and makeup lady. And Mavis is her best friend who is now a rock star. And Leonardo is Mavis's husband, and he's also a fashion designer. And, but we're just going to skip that part. You can read it and enjoy it. We're going to get to the good part. While Eve was getting a temporary breast enhancement, Peabody was winding down with a bowl of frozen non-dairy dessert some marketing whiz had named Ice Delight. Drenched in a chocolate substitute syrup, it wasn't half bad. Or so Peabody decided as she scraped the bottom of the bowl. And then she gets a knock on her door. A peek in the security screen made her gasp in surprise. She unlocked the door, pulled it open, and stared at Mcnabb. His lip was swollen, his right eye boosted an impressive shiner, and he was wet. What the hell happened to you? I had an incident. I want to come in. I tried to reach you. You've got your links on message. I was busy. I was off duty, goddammit. Okay. We're on at 600. We caught a break earlier tonight. We're going on an op tomorrow. Dallas, I don't want to hear about it now, okay? I can hear about the damn op tomorrow. Suit yourself. She shut the door. Your boots are squeaking. What? I don't have ears? I can't hear them squeaking? What crawled up your ass and nested? You reek. Have you been drinking? Whatever I want. Would you get off my back? Look, you're the one who came to my door. Bunched up, wet, and smelling like the floor of a bar. I was on my way to bed. I've got to get some sleep. Fine, go to bed. I don't know why I came here anyway. I went by Monroe's. We got into it. What do you mean? You had a fight with Charles? Are you crazy? Maybe you don't think we've got anything going on, but you're wrong. That's it, you're wrong. And I see him pushing Dr. Blondie in your face. It pisses me off. Best thing could happen to you, in my opinion. But I didn't like the way he tossed you over. Tossed me over, she repeated, dumbfounded. You break up with somebody, you do it square. He's going to apologize. He's going to apologize. What are you, an echo? Charles blackened your eye and split your lip. He got in a couple of shots, not to mention the gut punch that had him heaving up his homemade brew in the gutter like a common brew hen. His face isn't so pretty either. Why are you all wet? Dishy D'Amato was with him. She dumped a bucket of water on us. He shoved his hands in his damp pockets and stomped around the room in his squeaky boots. I'd have taken him if she hadn't broken up. He shouldn't have treated you that way. Peabody opened her mouth to explain she hadn't been mistreated, then wisely closed it again. Her mother hadn't raised a foolish daughter. It doesn't matter. She cast her eyes down in a sorrowful droop to hide the unholy gleam in them. Mcnabb and Charles fighting over her. It was too mad for words. Hell, it doesn't. If it helps anyway, I think he was really sorry. He's a nice guy, Mcnabb, not the kind that hurts anyone on purpose. Don't change the sting. Look, I want us to get back together. We got together pretty good last night. I don't mean in the sheets. I want us to pick up the way we were going, but different. Weary now, she eased back. Different how? Exclusive this time. And we can, go out to fancy places. He's not the only one who can get slicked up and take you wherever. I don't want to go out with anyone else, and I don't want you going out with anyone else either. So, you're asking me to go steady? Never mind. Put it down to too much strength. Yes. She wished her knees weren't knocking, but she got up. Yes, what? I could give it a try. See where it goes. Exclusive? Yeah. Like a couple? Okay. She smiled. He leaned in and kissed her. Oh, then jolted back when the pain exploded in his lip. Oh, you gotta love Peabody Mcnabb. And let's see. To we'll just do this last thing. Two last things. Peabody sprang back in position. You're hoarding candy. I'm not a candy hoard. It's an emergency supply, which the sneaking candy thief who keeps raiding my office hasn't found yet. And Nora says that she will never reveal who the candy thief is. And I've decided, just my own personal opinion, that Nora's the candy thief. That she wrote herself into her books that she's the candy thief. So where was I? And if he or she finds it, I'll know why. She paused significantly, and you'll pay. I'm on a diet anyway. You don't need no diet, Peabody. You are just right female. Mcnabb, Eve said, yes, sir. Shut up. It's all right, Dallas. We're a couple. A couple of what? No, don't tell me. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to each other. Let there be silence across the land. Peabody managed to muffle a snicker, then tried to adjust the climate control manually. It's busted. Shut up. Saying nothing, Peabody rolled down her window. Mcnabb shifted in the back seat. Permission to speak on official business, sir? What? Let's see. So they tell Eve that they're a couple again. Then McNabb tells Roarke that they're a couple again, and Roarke gives him a little bit of advice. It's cute. But there's this final scene with her and Roarke. I've got another assignment for you. Really? My schedule's a bit tight right now, but I want to do my civic duty. He tucked the little flower behind her ear. What sort of assignment? Oh, that's when Eve gets Roarke a flower from a vendor on the street, and it's a dead one. I think it's a dead one. What sort of assignment? And be specific. You want me to be specific? I do. Very, very specific. I want you naked. So there we are. So you'll have to read about the two guys that are killing these women. But in the meantime, you gotta enjoy the characters You got to enjoy Peabody and Mcnabb and Dr. Louise D'Amato and Charles and Mira and Whitney and Nadine and Trina and Mavis. Those are my pals. I love these books. I really do. They are just so awesome. So, check in with me next week. We've got Reunion in Death. This is a hardcover too. And Purity in Death, the computer that gives headaches. All right. Have a good one.